You see?
It shows everything from the moments leading up to the stabbing, to the medical response, to then the beginning of the police investigation.
Okay, so let's start in the beginning now and talk a little bit about what you saw at the front end of that video, because you got to see the attack, the actual stabbing
right.
took place.
You wake up to headlines you didn't think were real. Karmelo Anthony's parents indicted for first-degree murder, not accessory, not obstruction, murder. And the trigger? A thread of text messages prosecutors claim prove premeditation. Not only did they allegedly help cover up the stabbing of Austin Metcalf, but now authorities are arguing they planned the defense before the crime was even cleaned up. In court, the lead prosecutor doesn't even flinch. He reads the texts aloud. One is chilling. "We'll say it was self-defense. Don't panic." Another one, just minutes after the incident. "Delete everything. I'll talk to him first." You glance at the jury. One man blinks too long. Another scratches the back of his neck like he's trying to crawl out of the room. The defense tries to argue that the texts were taken out of context, that any parent would go into panic mode when their child is involved. But the timeline is damning. The texts came in before 911 was ever called. Then comes the footage. Security cam stills show Karmelo pacing, blood on his hoodie, phone in hand. Moments later, his father is seen arriving at the scene, not with medics, not with cops, but alone, wearing gloves that were later never found. Prosecutors claim this wasn't just a family reacting to a tragedy. This was a coordinated attempt to protect their son at any cost, and the texts are now the centerpiece of a murder indictment that could send both parents to prison for the rest of their lives. You're sitting in court as the prosecution plays a voicemail that hadn't been disclosed until now. A message they say Karmelo's mother left just 14 minutes after the stabbing. Her voice is low, trembling, but unmistakable. "Say it was self-defense. Don't talk to anyone till we figure this out. You hear me? Nobody." The jury doesn't flinch, but the energy in the room shifts. That's when the prosecutors present the next bombshell. Text messages exchanged between Karmelo's parents before police ever arrived. One from his father reads, "Get rid of the knife. I'll handle the rest." It's time-stamped before the authorities were even called. Now it's not just a cover-up, it's premeditated obstruction. And if the prosecutors are right, it's accessory to murder. You watch as the defense tries to shift gears. They point to the stress, the chaos, the fact that any parent would act irrationally in a moment like this. But the problem is, none of these actions look irrational. They look deliberate. The prosecution then shows location data pulled from the Anthony family's phones. At the exact time they claimed they were waiting on police, Jeep's logs show Karmelo's father driving away from the scene, allegedly to dispose of something. Then the prosecutor asks the jury a haunting question. If this were your child and you knew they were guilty, would you protect them or would you do the right thing? You look around the courtroom. Even supporters in the gallery are quiet now. The evidence feels like a noose tightening around the family's public image and possibly their freedom. Is love enough to justify obstruction? Or are we watching loyalty turn into a full-blown conspiracy? You're focused on the screen at the front of the courtroom when the next slide hits harder than anything before. A digital timeline constructed by prosecutors. It tracks every move the Anthony family made in the 72 hours after the stabbing, and the picture it paints is chilling. At 9:07 p.m., the moment Austin Metcalf was stabbed, police records show a delay of nearly 23 minutes before the first 911 call was made. In that gap, Karmelo's phone pinged two separate numbers, both belonging to his parents. The timeline continues. 9:12 p.m. Surveillance footage captures Karmelo's father entering a parking garage near the scene. 9:15 p.m. A blurred figure is seen tossing a small item into a private dumpster behind a fast food restaurant. 9:19 p.m. Karmelo's mother sends a text that prosecutors highlight on screen. "We can clean this up. Don't panic. Just don't talk." The courtroom is dead silent. The DA paces slowly as he breaks it down. This wasn't chaos. This was coordination. From the second the knife left Karmelo's hand, this family went into strategy mode, not survival mode. Strategy, obstruction, concealment. You glance at the jury. One man stares straight ahead, jaw set. Another woman scribbles something furiously. Even the defense table looks rattled. And then the final gut punch. The knife was never recovered. Police searched the entire area and saw no weapon. The prosecutor suggests that the Anthony family had enough time, motive, and coordination to make that weapon vanish. You hear a murmur behind you. Someone whispers, That's not just protecting your kid, that's protecting a killer. And suddenly, the case feels less like a tragedy and more like a well-executed cover-up. Would your parents do the same? And if they would, what does that say about justice in a world where love might trump the truth? You're still reeling from the timeline when the next slide appears. This time, it's a series of exposed text messages between Karmelo Anthony and his mother in the hours after the stabbing. The messages weren't supposed to exist. According to earlier interviews, Karmelo had no contact with his parents until the next morning. But here they are, retrieved from a hidden iCloud backup and presented under oath. The first one arrives at 9:10 p.m., just minutes after Austin Metcalf collapsed on the gym floor. What do I do? Seconds later, his mother replies, "Do not say a word to anyone. We'll figure it out. Just stick to self-defense." Then another, this time from Karmelo's father. "Delete your messages, now. Wipe everything before the cops ask for your phone." You can feel the jury lock in. The judge leans forward, and even the defense attorneys glance at one another, unsure of what's coming next. The prosecutor's voice is sharp now, unwavering. "Ladies and gentlemen, these are not the texts of grieving parents. These are instructions, cold, strategic instructions on how to obstruct justice and craft a defense before investigators could even arrive." The courtroom is frozen. A woman in the gallery wipes her eyes. On the screen, the next message hits harder. "Tell them he came at you. Say it was him or you. Keep it clean. Cry if you have to." The implication is staggering. The parents weren't just reacting, they were coaching, building a story, engineering a defense before facts were even established. And now the question is echoing everywhere. If this is how the family responded in the first hour, how deep does this really go? Would you trust your freedom to a plan built on lies, even if it meant saving your child? You're watching the courtroom projector flicker again, this time revealing deleted message logs and metadata from a forensic phone analysis. And what they show is even more disturbing. According to digital experts, Karmelo Anthony's phone had over 30 texts permanently deleted between the time of the stabbing and his first police interview. His parents' phones? Nearly identical patterns. The deletions weren't random, they were surgical. The prosecutor walks the jury through it step by step. Messages were erased in pairs. Karmelo deletes one, his mother deletes the same. Then comes the chilling timeline. The deleted messages were sent within minutes of the stabbing, and most of them included phrases flagged for obstruction. Words like story, say this, don't admit, and plan. Then comes the voice memo, a recovered file from Karmelo's mother's phone. The audio lasts 13 seconds, but it sends a chill down your spine. "Melo, stick to the version we talked about. You were scared. He rushed you. You had no choice. Remember, say it was the knife he brought. It's your word against nobody's." The courtroom doesn't move, not a cough, not a whisper, just that single sentence playing in everyone's mind. A mother guiding her son through a murder narrative before he's even officially questioned. You glance at the jury. One woman has her hand over her mouth. Another stares forward, stone-faced. The judge exhales audibly, then orders a short recess. And now people are whispering the same thing across social media, legal blogs, and morning news panels. Is this still a case about a teen who made a mistake? Or is it a family-wide conspiracy to cover up premeditated murder? How far would you go to protect your child? And what happens when that protection becomes a criminal act? You're sitting back down after recess, but the energy in the courtroom hasn't settled. If anything, it's tenser now. The judge re-enters. The prosecution rises again, and this time, they're holding what looks like a printed email chain, circled and annotated. This, the lead prosecutor says, is where it all shifts from protection to planning. He holds up an email sent the night before the stabbing. It's from Karmelo's father. The subject line reads, "Prep, tomorrow." The body of the email is brief, but loaded. Just in case things go left, make sure he knows what to say. "We've already been through this once. You know the order." The defense immediately objects. The judge calls the attorneys to the bench. Whispers fly, papers shuffle, but then she rules. "Admissible." Gasps ripple through the courtroom. Some in the gallery begin murmuring, "They planned it? What does that mean? Once? Was this not the first time something happened?" The prosecution presses forward. They present a text thread between Karmelo and a close friend, one that hadn't been deleted. In it, the friend warns. The prosecution presses forward. They present a text thread between Karmelo and a close friend, one that hadn't been deleted. In it, the friend warns, You always getting into SHT, bro. Don't let it happen again. Karmelo replies, if it goes how I think, I'm ready this time. That message was sent 12 hours before Austin Metcalf was stabbed. This is the moment the court realizes they may not be dealing with a tragic lapse in judgment, but a sequence of events that suggests foresight, strategy, and intent. And now you feel the walls closing in on the Anthony family. What seemed like a bad decision in the heat of the moment might actually have been mapped out in advance. Would you believe it was an accident? If all the signs pointed to a plan? How many layers of truth do you peel back before a family's story completely unravels? The courtroom is quiet now, not from lack of interest, but from the weight of what's just been revealed. You can feel it in the air, that eerie silence that comes when reality sets in. The prosecution isn't done. They pull up a time-stamped surveillance screenshot, a grainy image of Karmelo's father outside the school gym the morning of the stabbing. He's not scheduled to be there. He isn't talking to anyone. He's just watching. The camera pans, then switches to another angle, showing Karmelo walking into the gym a few minutes later. The time difference between the two? 8 minutes. That's all. Then comes the final blow, a deleted voicemail recovered from phone backups by forensic experts. Karmelo's mother, her voice low but sharp, saying, if anyone asks, you didn't know he had it? That's the story. That's what we stick to. You watch as the jury stares ahead, unblinking. One woman takes off her glasses and sets them on her lap, her hands trembling. This isn't a case about a kid who made a mistake anymore. It's about a coordinated attempt to protect him, no matter the cost. A family who may have helped map out the before, shape the after, and now try to rewrite the middle. Outside, the media frenzy erupts. Breaking news headlines flash. Text messages reveal premeditated cover-up in Metcalf case. Karmelo's parents, the masterminds behind the murder, and online, the questions are pouring in. If this was your child, would you lie for them? If the roles were reversed, would you expect justice or excuses? Now it's not just a trial, it's a referendum on loyalty, morality, and how far you'd